Oklahoma at Kansas.
You're wearing your Homer hat today, which I don't do. I go neutral typically for the sake of our listeners. But
they don't have an OU and A&M hat.
Oklahoma typically starts at the top because, number one, there has been some big games in recent history with the Cotton Bowl and those types of things. But they are the front runner in the Big 12 right now. They're the only undefeated team, not only in conference but also out of conference as well. They're kind of there've been a lot of storylines around them with Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler and those types of things. But the rest of these teams, if you want to dethrone the champion, now's the time to do it.
Did you just sing when you said dethrone?
Dethrone the champion.
I caught that. He said dethrone.
I mean, but let's not get sidetracked here. Oklahoma has won the Big 12 title the last 6 years in a row.
I know it. This is interesting though. There's a lot of holes in this medal. I feel like
I have been much more confident in years past, when we weren't undefeated, than I am this year when we are undefeated. Right?
Yeah,
I agree. Is 8-0.
I agree. And this was interesting too because this was so Caleb Williams had the big game. In the Red River showdown rivalry, whatever it's called. Comes back. TCU at home just lights them up. And then this is his first, call it road start. But, I mean, we've both played in Lawrence. I mean, heck, you had the entire grid go down in Lawrence, which just naturally makes this a lot more funny. So for 20 minutes, there's no scoreboard. And I think for all those 20 minutes, OU just doesn't show up. I mean, it's 0 in the first quarter.
They're still on the bus.
0 in the second quarter. And they are actually down 10-0 against Kansas.
And it's sad that we talk about Kansas like this, but I was sitting watching the game, and I see the first quarter happen. I'm like, oh, that's really cute, Kansas. You come out to play and Oklahoma doesn't show up. Then the second quarter happens, right? And you're like, oh, this is still kind of cute, Kansas. And then we get into the second half, and it's like, this is not cute anymore.
Right.
What the heck is going on, right? It was funny, though. Kansas, and I forget what account it was. You guys have probably seen it out there. They put out a tweet in the middle of the game calling all Kansas students and fans to hustle over to the stadium.
I love it.
The wording was, "We're currently beating Oklahoma. Come support your Jay." I mean, it's desperation in Lawrence, but they gave a scare to the University of Oklahoma, who is not atop, but pretty close to atop the college football world right now.
Well, they were a 38.5-point favorite.
Yikes.
So if I'm a KU student, I'm, for sure watching that in a bar somewhere.
I'm surprised they didn't, 35-23. Is that grounds for rushing the field again? I mean, it being that close?
I don't know. Look, it was pretty bad watching it. I mean, OU just could not do anything on. Well, I say that they couldn't do anything on the offense. I mean, they had 8 plays until the last drive in the second quarter. That I guess it was 5 minutes and 32 seconds left, if my math serves right. Was the first time that they actually had a drive. So it's just, look, Kansas came out, did a good job, and actually moved the ball down the field, which you just again in that game, Lawrence, or if you host KU, typically you're just beating up on them. You got whatever, short drives for touchdowns, long drives for touchdowns. You get those guys 3 and out, and you do it again. Typically, this is a game where you're, second and third string are in at halftime.
Pretty soon,
right?
Yeah,
right. So, but interestingly enough, Kansas outgained OU 412 yards to 398, which is just very interesting. 22 minutes of possession out of the 30 in the first half, which we just talked about. You want to have a bad stat for you? This was actually pretty fun watching this, or doing this, I guess. But so Kansas over the last 11 seasons, okay, excluding 2020, 334 yards per game with a minus 116-yard differential, right? Which means your offensive output versus the defensive side. There's anytime you have a negative in that stat,
that's not good.
Is not good.
That's not good. That means you're losing.
That means
a lot.
You're losing a lot, giving up a lot of yards, and not getting a lot of yards, right? And to your point, OU trailed until 12 minutes and 35 seconds into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It was painful to watch. Just a memory for me. And to your point, a lot of times you get to have really cool moments in those games. Guys that don't get to play, walk-on guys that get to get in the game, get a touchdown, those types of things. One of my favorite moments in my college football career happened in Lawrence. We were up 1-0, and I got to throw my twin brother a touchdown pass.
Wow. Yeah,
now
cool.
it was as cool as it wasn't as cool because there was 10 people in the stands, and so it just kind of felt a little weird. And you know that feeling
right.
playing in Lawrence.
Yeah.
But still one of the coolest deals ever. But it was a scary deal. But talk to me really quick, because we had the two of the craziest plays on opposite sides. You had one of the most heads-up plays that I've ever seen by Caleb Williams, and then I don't know if one of the worst plays I've ever seen, you may have another one in mind, happened when Jason Bean is running to the left, and all he's got to do is stick his foot in the ground. And I retweeted a tweet if y'all want to go look at it. He steps out of bounds, and somebody says, "This is by far the worst vision running the football that I have ever seen." And I totally agree. Talk to us a little bit, though, about Caleb Williams' play, and would you have ever done something like that?
Look, and that's what makes this, as in my notes, I have the best and worst play that I've ever seen. Here's why. Best play, no. I would have never thought in a million years I'd have been like, oh, shit, we didn't get the conversion, which, by the way, this is 3 minutes left, and they were on their own on 45, I think, whatever that was. So this is a very interesting point in the game.
So walk through the play for us, for our listeners that maybe didn't see it or whatever else. Explain to them what Caleb Williams did on that play. So setting the stage, it's 4th and 1.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Obviously, the game's not going extremely well for the Sooners.
Correct.
And so what did he do, Bryce?
Yep. So I want to find this play too. So we have so right now at this point of the game, it is 28-23. Okay.
In favor of
OU.
Okay, so they're up by just a little bit.
Up by a little bit,
right?
And so OU is on the 46-yard line. Okay. Their 46-yard line going out. So they haven't crossed midfield yet. They do basically a read option play. Read option being that the quarterback is looking at the defensive player, and if he takes the back, then he pulls the ball and he runs. And then if there's leverage to the outside, meaning that hey, the defensive guy took his his lane, that he's going to hand the ball off. So he hands the ball off to Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy Brooks kind of makes one guy miss, comes outside and gets stuffed. Right.
No chance he gets the first down,
No chance that he's getting the first down. To me, this was a blown call by the refs, because at that point, forward progression was no more. Should have blown the whistle. But nonetheless, he's getting driven back, and Caleb Williams comes to Kennedy Brooks and takes the ball, spins, and then picks up 3 or 4 yards to get the first down. I'm watching it going, oh, my God, I almost dropped my beer. Look, it is you don't teach this, right? Lincoln Riley was like, yeah, we teach, these type of situations, but I can't take any credit.
There's no way to teach that.
Well, he said, I don't take any credit because that's just Caleb and Kennedy doing their thing. Kennedy at the end of the game was like, yeah, I saw Caleb, so I just gave it to him. That's BS, because you can see Kennedy actually grip down on the ball.
Of course.
Naturally, because if you get stood up, everybody knows that you have a gang tackle. 3 of those defensive dudes are trying to,
rip the ball out.
Yeah, Evander Holyfield knocked this thing out, right? Yep. So it's just an incredible play, because, and I said that it's the best and the worst play. Best play because you just can't teach that. That's just ball being ball. That's the worst play because for whatever reason, had Kennedy Brooks not seen that or seen that it was Caleb Williams and there is the ball's up in the air, at that point, you could just pick that thing up and take it all the way back. And then we're sitting there going, Caleb Williams, what are you doing? Just punt it, but that was such a wild play. So then ends up, again, in the situation, they go down and score at that point to go up 35-23 and pretty much end the game. But it was such, in that moment, again, this is what this guy's starting to do. Big moments when he needs to make a play, 13 makes a play.
Yeah, he does. It's like we had a quote that was up in our locker or in our weight room, at OU, and then my high school coach always put it on our pregame script, and all of you have heard it, but it's big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. Was this a big-time game? Wasn't supposed to be. It turned into that.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, when all is going wrong, who do you look to make a big play? And he, like you said, he found a way to get a win.
Yep.
Are we going to look back on that and be like, oh, my gosh, how did you guys play that bad against Kansas? Yes, for a little while. But if they continue to win and they put, another check in that win column, nobody's going to care how much they beat Kansas by, right? If they're undefeated, you're undefeated.
Yeah, that's true.
But sloppy for 3.5 quarters, finally got it going, did enough to win, and Oklahoma solidifies themselves still or remains as the leader in the clubhouse for the Big 12 title race.